Yeah,
we can talk.
but we are live. I think we are live.
Mute you. Yeah, I'll just mute you. Hello, friends. Good evening, and welcome to this cracker of a session that we are going to do tonight. We are back after a couple of days. We were supposed to do it on Sunday, well, over the weekend rather, but for some reason we had to defer it. And I'm glad we could, because tonight we are here with the complete, well, quite a bit of cast and crew of the movie that's making waves online at the moment, the movie that is making waves on Netflix at the moment. And with me, I have the crew themselves. But before we move to that, I would like to play a video for you to get. I think I'm not being able to share that video for some reason. Anyway, so let's skip that part. Let me just go right to the grain and introduce Nicholas, who's the director for the movie, and Parashar, who was the DOP for the movie. Welcome, Nick. Welcome, Parashar. It's so good to have you online. This is a brilliant movie, and I had a chance to watch it. We have quite a few people who've logged in, and they are sending their hellos to you. So Nick, first of all, congratulations. It's a movie that's really getting rave reviews from all corners. And in fact, last time I checked, it's number 2 on the most watched movies in India. Congratulations on that. And well, it's also trending in the US, UK, and the Middle East as far as I can remember. So that's quite a great feat for the movie. So first, congratulations. Starting off with the questions, I would definitely like to know that there is a certain enigma that's attached to this dish. There's a certain fondness, nostalgia, a lot that's attached to ahuni. It reflects a culture, it reflects an enigma, it reflects a tradition. Was it the first name of choice right from the very beginning for this movie?
Supriya, I think his mic is muted. Could you just tell him?
Okay.
That?
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Hi,
Lynn.
Lynn. Hi, how are you?
Good.
To have you on this platform.
Thank you, Supriya.
Welcome
Hi,
here.
everyone. Hi, Nick.
Hello.
I'm sorry I got in late.
No problem.
Wonderful. So, Nick, I was asking whether Ahuni was your first name of choice for this movie.
Yes, it was. And then we went with different names.
Yeah.
Not because I wanted to, but more because, we felt maybe we needed to look at other names, and so on and so forth. Also because we didn't know if it was going to be catchy enough, etc. A whole bunch of reasons for which we went into all of that, did a full circle and came back to Ahuni. So I'm really happy. We just, stuck with the name after having sort of, even better because we went, kind of through a walk and then discovered, we don't like this, it's not working, let's go with Ahuni in the end.
But Ahuni by itself reflects the culture, it reflects the tradition, it holds a special place in the hearts of many out there. And one of my dearest friends, Doma, we were talking about it the other day, and there's so much of enigma attached to it. What do you feel about it? How do you relate it to what you have showcased in the movie?
See, I wanted to call it Ahuni, and it is Ahuni because also, it's popular in Delhi, and this is a film about the Northeasterners living in Delhi, which would, sort of hold true for Northeasterners living in any of the big cities, whether it's Bangalore or, Pune, etc., where we have big populations of Northeasterners. And Ahuni is one of the things that's cooked. And anyway, the whole story, revolved around Ahuni. I grew up in Nagaland, and it's such a big part of my life. Soybeans is just such a big part of my life. If you're talking about miso soup, which I'm very fond of, but that is something that you almost cock a snook at, because it's not that good as far as we are concerned. It's the fermented beans that we don't make much of because we have our own akhuni, and we have our tungrambai, which is from Shillong, which is fabulous as well. It's one of my favorite things. So it holds a very strong connection with me as well. There've been some people saying, oh, but you've presented it in this way where it smells foul to some people. It does smell foul to some people. Does it mean that it smells foul to me? No, not at all. I love that smell. We love that smell. I don't see why we should be apologetic about it. There's some smells that some communities find malodorous. There are some that they find divine. I'm not going to be apologetic about it. Love the smell, as most people do,
In fact, I'm getting a few comments from our audience. Gautam Mehra is saying, hey, Lynn, you were fabulous. Let's start with that.
Thank you, Gautam.
Then Doma is reflecting on her childhood. She's saying, we have all faced a lot of what happened in the movie. Cooking kinema and bamboo shoot during my days in the hostel. The girls would fight with us. And yes, so somebody's asking, what is kinema? Would any one of you like to talk about it?
Rashi, you want to talk about it, or should I talk about it?
Oh, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So kinema is akhuni again, but it's what the Nepalese make, especially in Sikkim. And it smells pungent too, but not as pungent as akhuni. And there's been, again, a slight controversy because Shayoni in the film says, oh, but the Nepalis don't really cook it. But that's more because of where she comes from. There are some communities of Nepalis that don't cook it. Like the Nepalis in Shillong don't cook it, And that's the thing about the Northeast, right? It's so diverse, the same community in this sense, Nepalis, some cook something, some don't, and so on and so forth. So it's so difficult to get everything right. And obviously there are also a lot of people, saying this is not right, that is not right, etc. But that's part and parcel of doing something like this. The thing is, you celebrate a film about the Northeast, and about Northeastern cooking.
Right.
Supriya,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt here. I think Tenzing and Rohan are
I just
get
let them in.
And I believe Abivu is on her way. She's also trying to log in.
Yes,
sorry.
I just let them in. Hey guys, hi Tenzin, hi Rohan.
Hi guys.
Welcome. This is a reunion of sorts, and I'm really excited to talk to each one of you. Lynn, coming over to you. Of course, living in Mumbai, it's I'm sure you were in touch with many of the people from northeastern states out here. How difficult it is for you to kind of get the ingredients out here? Because one of the first shots in the movie was, and I really liked that shot. I'll come to Parashar with that question. But I remember one of the primary shots is where you go to source the ingredients. Tenzin takes you to this really hidden shop. And you source those ingredients out there, and it kind of talks about the difficulty of procuring stuff from the Northeast out here in the West. Of course, many things have very short shelf life, but my question to you as a resident Mumbaikar, how difficult it is for you, and I mean, do you guys get together to cook often?
A lot. When it's not lockdown, we're meeting every single week. We're on it. We're cooking. Like, I cook a lot. Not rest of them, but I love cooking. So I keep inviting all these people over, like this cast and crew. Everybody is having a good time. Then also I've been away from home for very long. So my mother found a way to send stuff to me and pack things for me, which is like, she would dry it up and, dry it in the sun for a week. Then she would, pack it well and seal it, conceal it. Then she'll ask me to put it in the freezer so that it stays longer. So all of that. But yes, procuring ingredients to cook Northeastern food in Bombay is not easy. Delhi is better actually. Yeah. Because Delhi, the population, like where we were shooting in Humayunpur,
yeah,
it was like mini, like I found everything. Though I didn't have time to cook, but I saw everything that we could, we get in back home. And but Bombay is very difficult because it's completely different. The vegetables, everything, not different, but we eat much more. You know, we eat a lot of greens. So बहुत मुश्किल है इधर मिलना. But yeah, there's a way that ये freezer में डाल देते हैं, dry करके लाते हैं. So that's one of the way to store and keep it longer. You know.
I remember long back, I had this conversation with Geetika. She would go and spend months in the Northeast, and in fact, several states. She would spend considerable time out there sourcing ingredients, and then she would freeze them and bring in bulk. And of course, she actually did quite a good job in those days. I am getting a lot of comments. Vikram Badwar sends his regards to Nick.
Yeah.
Love you, Nick.
I love him. Yeah.
Yes, he's an awesome dude. Vikram, it's good to see you on this page after a long time. Doma, of course, is giving a shout out to Tenzin. Tenzin, a fellow Tibetan, is proud of you.
Yay!
Thank you, Doma.
And Gautam is saying, okay, Doma is leaving, so she's telling to tell Tenzin that Acha Doma, Acha, I just said. Okay, Gautam is saying the photography initially and the focus on the ingredients was mesmerizing. So that, yeah, and I totally agree. I was telling Parashad earlier that the shot in the shop, the opening shot, where he walks in and there's this light streaming through. And I mean, aesthetically, it's very, very appealing, very, very beautifully done. But beyond that, once you get into the gullies and the alleys of Humayunpur, the way you've shot the entire middle class neighborhood, the smoke bellowing through the shaft, and and then the crock pot, and when it is cooking, I mean, the entire thing, it actually connects the audience with the entire food making process. Right. How was your experience shooting through these alleys and bringing alive the essence of Humayunpur?
Well, most of us, when we start a film, we always, try to find out what is that one extra bit that we can bring into a like almost a realistic film. So, for us, food was definitely the hero of the film, and the pot. The pot actually, the fact that we made the effort to source the pot from Mizoram, because we knew that it was essential. It was central to the journey of the film and how the food travels, and basically through the pot we see the entire milieu of Humayunpur. In fact, it's only because of their quest to get out and try to find a place to cook that we actually see the space. So right from the first note, we thought that we will stick to the food and the journey that it takes, and through that we will see this very interesting space like Humayunpur, which right at the beginning we tried to do this very intriguing, very kind of almost like a drug heist kind of a scene, because of a way of kind of setting up this story of the film, of how kind of underlining a certain things about how it was difficult probably for them, or how it was restrictive for them to source this kind of food, and we wanted to do it in a more like stylized way. So the use of neon, the use of colors, even the space where they go into the Thesong pork shop was a real location. So it was a conscious idea for us to bring in some bit of interesting colors into these spaces, these seemingly drab spaces, and yet see it through our lenses. And also in the journey of the pot, you'll see, I mean, the way we try to show, we wanted to show the restrictions, the constricting images, and the way we were lensing it was also there, till the point it counts when it suddenly it opens up, almost like the graph of the film, where we see that finally they achieve some kind of bit of a success, or some bit of a release, and we suddenly see that the film also opens up. We see the outdoors, we see how. So it was almost somewhere in the back of our minds in trying to like plan or design the graph or the visual story of the film, to also see how we can do it, how we can explore these spaces, and what point do we bring these spaces in. So that was the idea.
So Nick, was Humayunpur the first choice, or you were dwelling with other locations as well?
First choice. Always wanted to shoot in between, I was deeply troubled because it looked like we might have to, because of budget constraints, that we might have to shoot it somewhere else. But thankfully, that didn't happen. And there was no way we could have replicated the authenticity of Humayunpur. The thing is, I mean, just to add to that, I am like this old uncle who, when I go to Delhi, would sit there. There's a sort of a quadrangle there, and I'll sit there and just happily look at all these youngsters walking around, and I'd be very happy. And they probably think like, who's this, old psycho, who's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And I just feel so happy, So I've walked those lanes. And obviously also the desire always of being able to shoot stuff there. I know it, like the back of my hand. So very happy that it finally happened in Humayunpur. Yeah.
I have a picture. I was going through old pictures and I have a picture of Nicholas eating alone in a restaurant, avoiding all of us. And he was like, finally, like, we were observing, me and Marinla, we were observing him for very long. Like, he's like, finally, I get rid of these actors and directors and production.
What were you eating out there alone, hiding from everyone else?
No, anyway, you're stuck with Ekta. I'm such an introvert. So anyway, I don't want to meet people. Then you're stuck in a film set where there are too many people. I just want to run away from all of them. I'm like, look, I love you people, but I want to love you at a distance. So just, not be here. They will continue to stay here. So I would have to extricate myself from there.
But we had to bombard. Everybody was there. We called everyone. We said, Nick wants alone time, so come guys, let's join. So we called everybody. Entire cast was having dinner with her.
Tell me one thing. Did you guys actually cook akhoni on location?
Oh yes.
Just to get the feel right?
Oh yes.
Okay. You have to tell me what happened then.
What? Sorry, I didn't hear you. What?
Did you cook akhoni on location while shooting?
Oh, you have to tell this story because it's a lovely story.
What? Who cooked akhuni? What? I'm sorry, I didn't get.
While shooting, did you actually cook the akhuni that you were filming?
Oh, yeah.
And what happened next?
Luckily, I didn't have to touch the akhuni. Shayani was the one who had to, use her hands and all of that. Oh my God, the sweat and the Delhi sweat. And 200 people inside one flat, one BHK, and all cramped up, and the gas is on, and Parasha with his camera. Oh goodness. Oh, nightmare.
Rohan, coming to you. First of all, man, I loved your role, the way you portrayed that, the dude. Finally, did you get his girlfriend or not? Let's start from there.
Still on the hunt.
Still on the hunt.
Akhoni too. Nick is working on the script as we speak. So
starts with this guy on a scooter,
running away from his Delhi girlfriend.
Yeah.
I love that bit. Great track. But you were actually free flowing. It was a good act by you. And I had a very curious question for you.
yes.
You were the minority in that movie. How did it feel like being there?
It's tough being a North Indian. I don't think we guys get a lot of credit. It's tough. It's tough being a no, actually, the entire experience was very it was different though, because it's people from very diverse backgrounds and cultures, and so it was a great learning experience. And I kind of Tenzin and I, we were doing our rehearsals. We had started with our rehearsals like a week or two before the actual shoot began. So we kind of had bonded over. I had already worked with Nicholas before. And so I kind of I knew him. And Merin also, I had met her once. I'd known her. And everyone was so we gelled well. So it was just literally took us 2 days to finally like just be besties on set. So I think I mean it was a great experience. It was a great experience.
Awesome. Tenzin, in your case, you are like the bridge between Tibet and Northeast, and and I think a lot of females swooned over you as they saw your brooding self in the movie, right?
I think
You're so humble.
Don't play innocent, please, Tenzin.
I know.
I mean, if you see right from the first frame to the last one, he's like this brooding, handsome guy who's always there, out there, helping everyone else. Tell us the real ground experiences at that time when you were doing the movie.
My major conflict before doing a scene was, should I keep the sweat or should I not keep the sweat? So yeah.
But that's a serious thing, huh? Because we were just sweating away, and
I know.
there were continuity issues, so we didn't know. Yeah.
And of course, in bigger sets or bigger wider places, you have the anaconda following you. You can at least brush off the sweat. But in such congested houses where you actually shot, it must have been a real challenge, isn't it?
Yes, but I think like realistically speaking, in June in Delhi, one will sweat no matter what. Like no matter. So yeah, I mean, I think, and then them coming from a particular class, they won't move from an AC room to an AC car to an AC office, right? Or to an AC workspace. So yeah, I mean, that made a lot of sense for me at least.
Right. I see Avibu has just joined in. Welcome to this channel.
Hi.
Hey, Avibu.
Hi. Am I audible?
Yes, absolutely. And to those our audience who are watching us, Avibu is the food consultant from Nagaland who's extensively consulted this project, and this is partly her labor of love as well. So Avibu, welcome to this chat, and we are looking forward to hear from you and understand how and why Axone is that one particular product that connects the cultures of the Seven Sister States.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be a part of it. And it's always fun to be watching these people live. So I'm literally stalking everybody just to hear what they have to say, because I think, first of all, I think the entire setup was so chaotic, but it was so fun. I mean, I think everybody knows what Nick and everybody had to go through to get everything executed so nicely the way we see it right now. It's unbelievable to see Safdarjung like that. I mean, we see it every day, yet we don't feel, we don't appreciate it enough. I mean, that's how I feel it now. Yeah. But the history of Axone and the connection between the northeastern states, I think that's something too deep for me to explain, and I don't want to be making any mistakes. So I think Parashar or Nick would be the best person to even go down the history and the connection between the states. I mean, but
Avi, tell us about your experience when you came on board and the chaos. Tell us about the chaos. Tell him about the chaos actually.
So Marinla is a friend, and she told me she's in Delhi for a film shoot and everything. And okay, yeah, Safdarjung mein ho raha hai. I told her, okay, fine, I'll come and see you in the set, and I want to see how it goes and stuff like that. And suddenly, one day, somebody calls me for a meeting, and I happened to meet Parashar and Nick. And I think it was a 10-15 minutes meeting that they discussed. So this is what they're planning to do and trying to do. I'm like, okay. That's what I did without knowing anything. But I knew it was something special because it was something that I am not aware anybody has done till now. And specifically talking about an ingredient or like, of course, people talk about northeastern food. People know about it now. We have documentaries, we have vloggers. But a movie and specifically using the name Axone, I was taken aback. But when I heard the story and Nicholas connecting it to his very own personal, experiences being in the city. And I've been away from Nagaland since I was 18 and a half. So it made a lot of sense. And since I was doing something around food, I do have my own pop-up kitchen. I don't have a physical base, but I try to let people experience the kind of food that we have. And this movie, I think, was an opening channel for me to put everything on the table, not specifically looking at a akuni from Nagaland, but it could be another ingredient from Manipur or from Mizoram. So it had to be a platter that showed a little bit of everything that we could manage at that point of time. So, but yeah, it was very funny because people from Bombay, the entire crew that came from Bombay, had absolutely no idea about the Raja Mircha and Akuni. And the way we saw them wearing gloves and wearing masks to even touch Raja Mircha, I was like, what the hell is this? But it did give me a very different experience altogether. And of course, they were taken aback. But what else? I think I lost track.
So I'll give continuity to this. Nick and the two wonderful ladies, I have a very big curiosity about the wedding celebration that was shot in the movie. The entire climax is the wedding. The whole movie is behind or about preparing that one celebratory dish. But then the little I know about the wedding feasts out there, it's usually very elaborate. So just to tone it down and bring it to that one dish. I mean, what was the thought that yes, this is it. This is going to be our celebratory dish that we'll portray and we'll run after it. I mean, there's so much of food out there. A Manipuri wedding feast is massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Should I go ahead first?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So for me, when I understood the scene where they had to do the feast, of course, there is nothing in comparison that we can do. We cannot do it like a Nagaland wedding or a Manipur wedding. There's so many different types of, wedding and the way we celebrate with food. But at that moment, looking at the project, I think it was a small feast, enough for a few friends. It had to be somewhere in connection to everything, like the pork ribs, which is very famous and everybody knows about it, right? And be it like the dal and the greens. So these are things that everybody eats. People from Arunachal, Mizoram, Nagaland. So these are the connecting factors that I think we had to portray the best we could.
Yeah.
Nick, also you have raised a lot of socially relevant issues. A lot of messages have been given out, but are there any poignant matters that you thought could have been portrayed a little bit more strongly, or if you could have also included these in the movie? Is there anything that you would actually like to bring out in Axone 2 if you make it again?
I haven't thought of Akuni 2 except for that first scene where there's this scooter and there's this young guy, with his. Beyond that, I haven't thought about it. But that's good enough. That's good enough as sell. So, it's a small film. With small films, you're bound to get things wrong. You're bound to get, cutting corners. It's not possible to get everything right. I've honestly stopped thinking about even the things that I could have done better. There's a whole list. I know it's somewhere here. I could pick up that tome of 3 volumes for you and maybe run it through with you. But for now, I don't want to go into the details of the whole bunch of things. But first of all, with a small film, that's bound to happen. Secondly, with a complex subject like the Northeast, I knew anyway that it was going to be tough. At the one level, you're looking to tell the story of Northeasterners in Delhi, but at the same time, that, you're trying to open a Pandora's box here because every tribe is different. Every custom is so different. Yeah. The look of each person, of each tribe, actually we all look so different, which is something that the outsiders may not, the ones who are not from the Northeast won't know, but for the ones from the Northeast, they're very aware of it. The accents are so different. So you knew you were dealing with, anyway, a big can of worms. Were you going to be able to get everything right? No. I'd leave it at that. And you know, a whole bunch of things that I don't even want to walk down the road.
In fact, Lynn's scene where she confronts the two bullies is a harsh reality, and it happens quite often in Delhi. And Gautam from Delhi, he's tuned in, and he's also mentioning that. But getting back to what you were saying, that you know, there are so many different subcultures out there, so many different people. They look different, they dress up different, and I think you've brilliantly, you know, kind of. Brilliantly showcase that difference in the wedding scene itself, where each and every member is dressed traditionally in the costumes of their own region. And while it may not make, I mean, people may notice or not, but you can actually tell that, yeah, they all belong from different communities, and yet they are together celebrating a common cause. And that's the beauty of direction. That's the beauty of what the movie has strived to portray, and you've successfully done that. You've kind
There's
of
also a
brought,
scene in the middle of the film. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
yes.
You. I don't know if you remember what we call, you know, the Babel scene, which is when after, you know, everything goes wrong and they can't cook the food in the house. Then they start making calls, and each one, you know, is speaking a different language altogether. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so things like that, where you attempt to sort of showcase the diversity within the Northeast itself.
And I think, I mean, using a commonly understandable language like Hindi through the movie, part Hindi, part English, was a smart choice, because then you could, were you always going to make it an English movie, or it was
So
a
see,
second?
I mean, I get, it's, you know, you're choosing to make a film from Bombay with a production house here, where you're trying to make it as mainstream as possible, which is also the objective, so that people, you know, all over India can access it. Otherwise, if you make this film, you know, you know, headquartered in Shillong or something with a small team, etc., it won't have that sort of reach. And so there are things that come with that. You know, there's for instance the fact that the Hindi language is something that you need to look into seriously, because that then is able to get you more eyeballs. You know, there are all these, not diktats as such, but these, you know, yardsticks really, that you know, that allow you then to access a bigger audience. You know, and so these are sometimes things that people don't understand. They say, oh, why are they all speaking Hindi? Not everyone, you know, and things like that. But it's, and we've, within that, also stick as possible. For instance, the choice that, you know, one is Nepali, and therefore sort of, you know, a Nepali that sort of, there's more, so I don't know how to put it exactly, but lends itself to speaking the Hindi language, you know, more than perhaps somebody who's a Naga or a Khasi, you know,
Right.
somebody from Manipur again lends, you know, more. So these things, I mean, of course, it's a fine balance, and there'll always be nitpicking, you know, with people, etc. But attempts were to make it as real as possible, but also within the constraints that we had of making it still sort of a little mainstream, a little, you know, very funny. You know, all these were speaking in the Hindi language by and large. You know, all these were things that we had to do. Otherwise, you and I wouldn't be sitting across here, right, you know, talking about how it's on Netflix, #2 in India, you know, trending in. It wouldn't be all of that. Otherwise, it'd just be a film, you know, seen in the Northeast. So these are things that, you know, where you have to walk that fine line, and it's not easy.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think you've successfully achieved that as well. I mean, I can't remember, I can't think of a single movie that's actually attempted to connect the seven states or different communities of the northeastern states together in one single movie. It's either very topical or very regional, but this one movie portrays more in as an umbrella the subcultures out there. So you've successfully achieved that. We have a very avid member of ours, Mayuri Komwar, who has a question for for the crew, and I'll quote unquote. Okay, Mayuri says, "I will ask what the nation wants to know. What was Adil Hussain doing there?"
Who wants to catch the bull by its horns?
Only Parashar has the
Nice.
Well, I think yes, I can answer that very well. I Everyone is saying that he doesn't have enough screen time, but it's his genius to to be there even for that 1 minute of screen time, and still have people talk about it. I mean, I guess we can only take back the fact that there was Adil Hussain who was there for those few seconds in the film, but he made an impact. I think. And he was meant, and I think it is maybe, I don't know if it was for the good or the bad, the fact that we made an artist like an actor like Adil Hussain play that part, and he made it so memorable. I mean, all those inputs of the ear cleaner, getting the ear clean, all of that was Adil's genius actually. And I think we were thankful to have him play our CCTV Tao actually, as we've started calling him. He's the quintessential, the voyeuristic gaze, and that was the idea. And I think most people have taken that back about his character. And I
I
believe,
think even Dadi's role was edged out very well. I mean, Rohan, your Dadi rocks.
He's so cool. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Gautam, yes, there is. You are free to ask your questions. Audience is asking if they can ask questions to the crew out here. Definitely, yes. Please feel free to drop in your question. I'll be happy to ask. So yes, we'll get there. There's a saying in English: one man's folly is another man's pleasure, and Akhuni, in a certain way, happens to be a folly for people who are not used to it. Are there any ingredients or any dishes from the western part of the country that you feel the same about?
When I came to Bombay,
Yeah.
as a young teenager, I did not eat for months because I didn't like the taste of the food. Like everything had curry patta and rye in it, and I was surviving on Frankie. There's this on my way to college. There used to be this Frankie roll. It used to be 20 rupees. So that's all I ate, and boiled eggs, because for months it took me around 6 months to start liking poha and breakfast and upma and chai and all of that jazz. So curry patta was a no-no for me, and I hated the smell, completely. I was like, I'm never going to like this food. But now I love poha for my breakfast. I love upma. It's an acquired taste.
In fact, I have a similar story. When I moved from Delhi to Bombay, I had spent several days. I was setting up my office, and I had spent quite a few days working hard. So one weekend I got some spare time. So I said, okay, fine, I'll go to this restaurant and I was craving for tandoori chicken. So I went to Urban Tadka and I sat down over there and ordered tandoori chicken, because I wanted to have that tandoori chicken that one gets in Delhi. And I kid you not, the tandoori chicken that was given to me had ajwain in it and curry patta in it. And I was like, what in the world is this? I just couldn't eat it. I totally resonate with you on this.
Yeah, and coconut. Putting coconut in everything was like a bit too much for me to accept.
Yes, it's definitely a fact for many. Tenzin, Gautam is asking that he loved what you were wearing in the final wedding scene. And he wants to know a little bit more about it. Did you get to choose your dress?
Obviously not. I think Nick is a better person to answer this question.
Tenzin, you haven't spoken at all. Step out of character.
Okay, I like to speak about Mr. Adil Hussain's character. What I felt when I was reading the script and when I saw the film later, I thought that I think it was a very good addition of the character that was there, because it's like the way I felt about him was, and what I felt about his character was the constant gaze that the people from the minority community have to go through from a patriarch of the majoritarian community. Now, that's what I felt when I was reading the script. Now, but when I watched the film, I felt that it was, you would think as an audience that he would do something, and obviously not something good, but towards the evil side. and then eventually he doesn't. So for a person from a minority community, you would think you would have to see everybody as a possible threat that he or she might harm you. So because even I had this question with Nick, I should share a relationship with Adil sir's character, and Nick was like, no, you shouldn't. And now when I saw the film, I got the answer then, and I think that was great thing done by Nicholas and Mr. Adil himself. So yeah, that's what I think about him. So yeah.
Lovely.
Tenzin, you should stop acting and become a film critic.
No. I think a film critic must first make a film and then become a film critic. At least one, and they would know. They would know.
We won't have any film critics.
Sorry,
we won't have any film critics by the time they get to.
By the time,
it's like
On that note, I must say, Lynn, on your timeline, I'm forgetting her name, Mirenla's review and critique of the movie. My God, it cracks me up. It's so hilarious. She is good.
I thought she's joining us. Where is
thought
she?
so too.
Unfortunately, she just informed me that she can't make it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's
okay.
But I think she has some technical problems there.
Acha. Yeah, she's sitting in Kohima.
Yes.
So every time it rains, it's a really bad network.
Okay. But please convey this to her that I loved her review of the movie. I was just cracking up. And audience, if you're not...
Yeah, it's a murder mystery. It's a murder mystery. That's how she starts off.
Hilarious. If you really want to get a good laugh, and after seeing the movie Axone, go to Lynn's timeline on Instagram and watch Mirenla's review of the movie. It's hilarious.
On the trailer.
On the trailer, yes. Wonderful. Since the movie is about food, and of course there are a lot of taboos around it, but food being the mainstream, what are some of the most unheard of food cultures from the wedding food lineup that the world really doesn't know much about? I would really love to learn more about that. The Manipuri, the Naga, the wedding feast lineup. There are a lot of unheard of and exclusive, exotic dishes that people may not know of.
So I come from Manipur, and people all over India think that Northeast eat only non-vegetarian, and a lot of meat has been consumed. But Manipuri Meitei communities, there is a sect where they're pure vegetarian. So my maternal grandparents, where my mom's house, they have never tasted garlic and onion in their lives.
Wow.
Wow.
So when my mom found out that I eat chicken, and no, not chicken was not so much of a problem, but I eat pork and red meat, all of that. Then because I lived in America, so I had steaks and all of that, and they were like so upset. So she told me that you're never going to touch my plate ever when we're eating food. So that was the kind of response we got. I got, and we prepare 108 dishes. There's a thali. Manipuri thali is very famous for its vegetarian thali cuisine. And we prepare 108 vegetarian dishes without onion and garlic.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's what, while growing up as my grandmother had she comes from a freedom fighter family, my grandmother, my father's mother. So we had a lot of these feasts where we call a lot of people on death anniversaries. So we had 200 people coming over, and we didn't prepare 108, but I remember that was made for the offering to the god was 108, and the rest of the people would eat 18 to 20 dishes. They're odd numbers that you follow, it has to be 7 or 8, 13, or I don't know, something like that. So I grew up eating all of that non-vegetarian, pure vegetarian food. And when I lived in Nagaland, it was a complete different. I lived in Nagaland for 2 years with my aunt who's married to a Naga. That's where I learned Nagamese and I learned to eat a lot of food. So my mother strictly told her, do not feed your your tribe food. Like she was so mean. But now she's like, she saw the film and she's like, yeah, cha, so it's a lot of, in the culture itself, in communities, like, in Maitais and in Nagas and like, all these are, they're so complex. Like what Nick was saying, that it's so difficult to point out, like, make a movie on a particular tribe or, a community, because it's so vast. People didn't know about this, but we do exist, people like pure vegetarians exist in Manipur. So it's very different than what like the rest of the India think.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And in fact, when I traveled out there, the amount of greens that I ate, I mean, the proteins are on one side, but that amount of shag, amount of greens that I ate, I never even knew existed. Alibu, the amount of greens reminds me, there are a lot of greens available in Delhi. But then again, are there any standout ones which you find very difficult to procure in Delhi and you would love to find them out there?
Avibu, that.
Hi.
Yeah.
I think I'm just too lost already.
You're the only one who is in Delhi.
So apart from what you asked as well, when we talk about greens and veggies, with veganism all around, I never paid attention to the veganism part of the food and stuff like that. But of late, I have like 2-3 friends who converted, and stuff like that. And when people come for food, for dinner or for lunch, it's always non-veg on the top of our heads. Okay, what am I going to cook? Fish, pork, chicken. So whenever a vegetarian is coming over, I have to think again. But I just realized we northeastern people, we don't use a lot of dairy products like ghee or dahi and all of these. So veganism was all about it. I'm like, oh my god, our northeastern food is so vegan. And that's how I started paying attention to veganism. And I've tried a couple of recipes for my friends and all, which I am yet to share it with my food followers and stuff. But as far as greens are concerned, I am not much of a very green person. I am more of a meat person. So I stick to the basic, like, I think the entire Northeast is aware of rai patta, mustard leaves, green beans, and squash and pumpkin, RB taro as we call it. I think these are the common vegetables that we share amongst the 7 states as well, I think. Aloo being one of the most famous one everywhere. But I think Manipur has a lot of varieties with greens that I've discovered after coming to Delhi. Because even when I was back home, since
Mizoram has a lot of greens.
Oh, okay.
Even Manipur has we eat a lot of greens from the water body. Like we eat a lot of vegetables aquatic vegetables that grows in the water, because we have a huge big lake called Loktak Lake. Then we have a lot of water bodies in the city and small pockets we have. So like morning glory is one of the vegetable which is widely eaten in Southeast Asian countries. Also in Manipur, it's very famous. And lai patta, of course, Avibu, what you're saying, like, squash is something that we commonly share. And also we eat something very interesting called, the lotus, not the lotus, the lily, the blue lotus, you call it. So there's a root, it's called foxnut or something. It has a spiky, like a outer looking, if it
like the sea urchin.
Yes, like the sea urchin, and we eat the nuts. We make chutney out of it. So that's also a very exotic dish, like a chutney from Manipur. My mouth is watering right now.
I love the chutneys and pickles from there. Tart, spicy, beautiful. Yeah, people are actually
Miss it.
fascinated by your 108 vegetarian dishes without onion and garlic, and would love to get some recipes from out there.
Yeah, I mean, if you Google it, you'll find it like the Manipuri, we call it Ushop dishes. So you'll find it if you type Manipuri dishes 108. And it's amazing. Like you've never eaten anything like that anywhere, except for the kheer. It's similar, but kheer also we make it with black rice.
Black rice, yes.
So it's very, very different
Glutinous,
tasting
yeah.
and yummy.
Yeah, it's glutinous. It's very different.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well. I think we've come to the end of this session, but it's so fascinating to talk to each one of you and learn from it. But before we sign off, once again, I want to extend a huge congratulations to all of you for pulling off a fabulous movie, which is being loved and liked by every single person that I've met, I've spoken to. There's so much to explore wherein the cuisine and the food is concerned. We loved the movie. Nick, congratulations to you and the entire crew. Each one of you did a stellar job. I think all of you worked so well. It just feels that you yourself are involved in the movie. And Parashar, you really captured the essence of the movie in its best and the truest manner as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very
So
much.
thank you all of you for
Thank
being
you,
a part of this
Supriyo.
chat. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Supriyo.
much. We want to see more from you guys. Nick,
Thank you.
definitely an Akhoni too.
Akhoni too. You know the opening shot.
Call it whatever you want, but shoot it in Mumbai.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Very
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Supriyo.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
run.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Stay
All the
safe.
best.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for the audience for tuning in. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Cheers.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
guys.
All the best and cheers.
Thank you, Supriyo.
Thank you, Prashant. Good night. Thanks, Nick. Bye.